Yes, welcome back to the channel. Massive news coming out regarding Mark Guehi and Manchester City. We're previewing the Manchester derby, in which is a big game in the title race. Arsenal have got Forest, and there is a million 3 p.m. kickoffs coming our way because for some reason the Premier League want it to go that way. But we've got Terry back on the show. How's things, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Just warring with people over net spend because it isn't real. And the Guehi deal proves it, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Plus, I know the true identity of the secret Man United midfielder that we are trying to sign this January. I know it. Me and only one other person in the world know who it is. Well, that's not true. The Man United hierarchy do, and the player, him or herself, know who they are. But I know. I'm in the know on this one. Yes, indeed, do.
We've actually got a transfer guru on the show, guys. Make sure you go down, drop a like, hit subscribe to both channels. We're both very close to 100k. We're going to start with Man United. Now, if you haven't already, checked out Terry's stream from earlier with Ben Jacobs, where there was some exclusive news for reasons or not, that the name of the player can't be revealed. But explain if anyone hasn't already checked that out, kind of explain how that went down.
Well, essentially, Ben knows the player and he knows the people at Man United. He's known him for many years. And it's just like all journalists do. They reach out to players, agents, people at clubs they know and have built relationships up with over the years. And you'd be a weird journalist at the moment to not continually knock on the door to find out if Man United are doing any activity, because United fans are desperate for it. And he spoke to a player, and then he confirmed it with the club, and conversations between two parties have happened. Essentially, there still isn't sign-off from the higher ups, but there is a good possibility. Well, there's a possibility the deal happens. The player is bought into coming on a loan till the end of the season. Fairly low salary, no obligation to buy or anything along those lines. But the only reason that Ben can't reveal it right now is because the club don't want it to come out and be leaked. The player's already at another club and doesn't want it to come out and be leaked because it wouldn't be fair, and it'll be revealed later down the line. But he sort of said this on camera. So then obviously if he'd have told me this privately, I wouldn't have mentioned it. Because he said it on camera, we're in this position where like my DMs have been lighting up for a millisecond. I know what like one 1/100th of what Fabrizio must go through every day. It's mad, bruv. It's mad. I have friends I ain't seen since school call me, bruv, I heard, about this deal. What is it? I'm like, I'm not telling you. So look, it's an interesting one, but it will show a lot of United fans up as hypocrites if it goes through, a lot of United fans are going to show their bums like I knew they would. And I want the deal to go through partly just for that social experiment. Because a lot of United fans pulled their pants down and went mad for not signing Conor Gallagher. Oh my God, we're a disgrace. How have we not done this deal? That's £80 million of investment Spurs have put into that player. 35 fee, 5.5-year contract, 150 grand a week, plus agent fees, 80 million you have to secure. You have to set like ring fence for that player. And everyone's bending over. Oh my God, we're crazy. The player that we're talking to, he's good. I think he's okay. He is no worse than the Conor Gallagher. Maybe a little less mobile in some people's eyes, but in terms of his overall attributes, whether you look at him with the eye test or you look at the numbers, very similar. I guarantee you if we get him, the same United fans going, we just need bodies. Give me Garner, give me Gilmore, give me, I don't know, Conor Gallagher. This guy will come in and they'll go mad and say, disgusting signing, terrible signing, because we're in this mold at the minute. No matter what we do, we're going to attack it. Does that make sense? If it's revealed we don't sign this player and we pulled out and we didn't give permission for it, it will also be attacked. I'm telling you now, whatever happens, it will be attacked. But it's an okay bit of business if we pull it off. It's not something that I'm like, wow, it's going to transform our season. It would just be a body. But if we are going to do that, I'd rather it be on a loan with no obligation, no loan fee, and very low salary, because then there isn't a big financial commitment to it. I'd rather that, and it might maybe cost us £1 million, £2 million to help us, than an £80 million total investment in a average player, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's positive news that you're doing some business this month. I want to move towards the Manchester derby, but we'll stick with United for now. Huge game for City, right? I'll tell you what, we'll come to Manchester derby in a minute. We'll start with this news. Mark Guehi to Manchester City, here we go. £20 million, £300,000 a week wages, according to reports. What are your initial thoughts on this? You know, Vardy and Ruben Diaz out injured, and now that puts their spending to £80 million in January. Well, like, what's your initial thoughts?
A fantastic piece of business. I think Mark Guehi is one of the best defenders in the league. When Liverpool were close to signing him in the summer, he'd get into the first team over Konate. I think he's better than Konate, and I think he's proven it this year. £20 million. A lot of people are going to focus on the transfer fee because we're addicted to net spend. It's not. This is a £100 million investment by Manchester City. £300,000 a week. The reason the salary is so high, and I want to put that into some context for you, because that now puts... I was looking at these numbers earlier, because Ben Jacobs revealed on our show earlier today as well that Guehi wants to be top 5 earner at a football club that he goes to. He is now the joint second highest paid player at Man City. Erling Haaland on 525,000 a week. Then you've got Bernardo Silva on 300,000. Now you've got Guehi. So he goes above Mamouche, Stones, Donnarumma, Diaz, Reinders, Foden, Rodri. Yeah, he's on 300k a week. So he goes above Rodri, Guardiola, above Cherki, Ake, Semenyo. He's above all of them on 300k a week. But the reason he's on... this is what people have got to factor in, though. The reason he's on 300k a week is because if he would have gone to a club in the summer on a free, a lot of his value from the transfer fee the club's saving goes to the player. Players always get higher wages and massive signing on fees when they join a football club for free, which is why net spend is nonsense. And I'll tell you as to why. Because when you look at the salary of other players at the club, Semenyo's an attacker. He's on double him. You look at Cherki, he's on 120,000 a week more than him. He's on £100,000 a week more than Guardiola, who's been there for years. He's on 80 grand a week more than Rodri, the Ballon d'Or winning Rodri. Yeah, but it isn't because he's better. It isn't because he's a bigger superstar. It's because City are getting the player cheap because there's only 6 months remaining on his deal. But the player essentially said to City, I'm not coming for 150 grand, 160 grand a week because I'm a free agent in the summer and clubs are going to offer me 250, 300, 350, 400k to sign because they are saving, which is why I always push back on net spend, because people will look at this and go, it's £20 million. It's nothing on the net spend. Well, it isn't. It's 15 million a year for him, probably double what you would normally pay for a defender of his level, which means it's 7 million a year on a 5-year contract that you're paying extra because he's a free transfer. So in terms of the extra cost for City, it's 37 million extra in salary being paid to him before you've even started. And that's my issue with net spend. The media explain it so badly. We get suckered in by it. You might find some clubs, well, by the way, I think he's an amazing player, but I'm not focused on the 20 million. I'm looking at the overall package. By the way, it's still a good bit of business because I think he's a phenomenal player. And I think investing in fees and salary, 100 million for a defender of this level for the next 4 or 5 years, I think that's a really good piece of investment from Man City. Their fans should be happy, but they must win major trophies now this year. You can't have a title winning squad, a 4-peat winning squad. Yes, they've lost a couple, but you can't have the greatest manager of his generation and over $500 million invested into that squad in the last 12 months and then go, it's just a rebuild. It's a transition. There has to be an expectation. They didn't fall off mightily. They're still a Champions League qualifying team. So brilliant business, but there has to be an expectation from football fans, from the media on City to win now. Because if not, it makes a mockery of the pressure put on other clubs who spend big money as well.
Just a question for you, right? If Guardiola and City win the league, does that put your rating of Guardiola as a higher manager, looking at the fact that what they went through last season, so many defeats, dropping out of the Champions League early, losing the league to Liverpool, not winning they didn't win a major honour last year. If they go and win the league this season, do you put him higher than you would say? Because I remember we had this conversation on the terrace in the summer that if they do fall off and he leaves, that would damage his reputation in a lot of people's opinions. But if he goes and wins it this year, does that put his rep back up for you?
His rep isn't gone anywhere. I mean, it's never nothing that he doesn't achieve is there is nothing that if they don't win a trophy this year, nothing about Pep's legacy is damaged for me. It's just, and he probably isn't going to do it unless his team goes on and wins a madness this year and or next year. Is I haven't ever seen him rebuild to another great team. So Fergie had sides that won league titles. The team that won the league in 13 and 11 were not great Man United teams. Good Man United teams, very good Man United teams, but not great. They weren't the 99 team. They weren't the double mid-90s team. They weren't the treble winning team. They weren't the 08, 09, 2010 team that did, 07, 08, 09 team that did the three-peats, the trebles, the Champions League, Premier League double. They're Fergie's great sides. So for me, what I haven't seen Pep do is help the club and himself develop a great team. I've seen him do that. What I haven't seen happen is that team lose 2 or 3 of its stars, fizzle out, which all teams do. There's no disrespect there, especially in a competitive league like England where everyone's got money. Well, the 4, 5, 6 teams have got money. Not like in Spain where 2 teams have 80% of all the cash, where it's a 2-horse race. It's much easier to do it there than in England. What we haven't seen him do yet is then rebuild over a 2 or 3 year period while still being a good team, and then make another great side. So I'm not saying he can't do that. The problem is if he never does it, we can't say he could do it. Does that make sense? For instance, I can't make the claim Fergie would have dominated in La Liga. He didn't go. I don't know. Does that make sense? I can't make that claim because he didn't do it. So we can't. So for me, I will never diminish his achievements. All it is for me is rebuilding great teams is an amazing achievement. The other thing that Pep hasn't done, and again, I don't take anything away from him. He's gone into teams that needed squad rebuilding and new players. Yes. But he hasn't I'd love to see him take over a broken AC Milan. I would love to see him take over a team in Germany that isn't Bayern Munich. So I'd love to see him go to
Champions League with Dortmund, for instance.
Yeah, but I'd like to see him go to a big team historically, like a Dortmund, like I use AC Milan as an example. The viewers might have other examples, and over a course of 2 or 3 years, turn them into a team that truly is one of the best in Europe, wins its league, maybe defends that league title, and wins a European trophy, like we saw Jose Mourinho do with Porto, similar to what we saw Cloughy do with Nottingham Forest, back-to-back European champions, what we saw Fergie do with Aberdeen, and then with Aberdeen's different because they weren't a fallen giant, they were a small team. So it's either take over a small team comparatively to the other European giants, or a team that isn't favoured. So I'd love to see him go to Girona and turn Girona into the best team in Spain for 3 or 4 years. I'd love to see him do that because I think he's got the capabilities. It's whether he has the hunger to do that, because it's a very different challenge to walking into a City, Barca, or Munich team that may not be at its best. Munich they were treble winners, I think, when he came in, but maybe not being at their absolute peak best, but still a squad full of players that have won league titles, been in title races, and then added quality to it. It's very different going into a Girona, very different taking over who would I compare it to in England? Like, he won't do it because he's managed City. I'd love to see Pep go, right, Spurs, let's see what we can do. Let's see if I can make my brand of football, maybe not with the best resources available, but with my brand of football, let's make you the best team in England. I'd love to see him do something like that. He won't, in my opinion, but I'd love to see him do it. I think he's got the capabilities, but not the hunger. So that's all it is. So what I won't do, though, and I know that some City fans are in the comments going mad, I'm not taking away any of his achievements. He's not a checkbook manager. He's not a flat track bully. There's nothing he's done that's great that I'm going to remove. I'm just saying there's certain things that other great managers have done that I'd love to see him try. I'd love to have seen him do that. And maybe you will. Maybe he'll do it on an international level. Maybe he'll do it at a club in a few years. I don't know. But that's my response to that. Sorry.
Yeah, someone like a Villa, a Spurs, Milan, Dortmund, someone like that, go and make them like a European giant again. Manchester derby this weekend. Michael Carrick in the dugout.
Yeah.
Guehi, of course, won't be in the City squad. He'll probably be playing the Champions League game against Bodo midweek. But you are going to be coming up against Semenyo, Haaland, Foden, and Cherki. You've got Ahmad back. You've got Brian Mbeumo back. Sesko's on scored a few goals recently. Is this essentially a free hit for Manchester United?
No, I don't like that phrase because there is an importance to this game for us because we are still in the hunt for a Champions League spot, whether people like hearing it or not, and I'd rather be in it than not. I wouldn't call it a free hit. We're just not the favourites. So if we play quite well and narrowly lose, of course I'll be annoyed. That's very different from playing poorly. The level of annoyance I would feel is different from playing really poorly and getting smashed up 5-1. So I want to play well. I want these players to work hard and fight, but I wouldn't call it a free hit. Carrick's first two games are City at home and Arsenal away. Very hard for us to win. Both teams are better than us. But I wouldn't look at them as free hits where you just say, doesn't matter what happens. We'll just wipe the slate clean. I want to see something. I want to see a bond. I want to see a togetherness. I want to see us work hard. We are going to get chances against Man City. There is no doubt in my mind that we are not Exeter at their ground. We're getting chances on the counter-attack. So from my point of view and perspective, I want to see us capitalize on those opportunities. The big fear factor I have is they've got so much firepower now. I just can't imagine a world where we stop them scoring, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's. I do agree with you. The free hit is kind of like basically we'll just throw the game and let's see how we get on. I do think you can cause some problems. I mean, I can't remember the guy who scored for Exeter against them. That was a hell of a goal. And then Newcastle played against them. They got chances. You just wouldn't fall for them. And I think your attack with Sesko, with Ahmad, with Cunha, with Brian Mbeumo is better than Newcastle's. And when you look at the predicted lineups, Man City, according to Footmob, are going to go very strong. With Donnarumma, with Haaland, with Reinders, all their big guys. And with Arsenal playing at 5:30, I don't know why, but I think Man City win, but I don't think they're going to blow you away. I think I can see them winning 2-1 or 2-0. I don't think this will be a 4-5-1, 3-0 sort of game. I think you've got to play for pride, right? It's a Manchester derby after all. Regardless if they're better than you pretty much on every single metric at the moment, you are still capable of bringing out a result. You've shown that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had a very good record under Pep with inferior teams. Jose beat Man City with an inferior team at the Etihad last year. Haven't you already beaten City this season?
That was last season. That was last season we beat them. They smashed us 3-0.
So you have beaten Pep's sides. I just think there will be an extra, bit of not cockiness, not arrogance, but the fact that they've got Semenyo now, the fact that they've got Guehi, there's a feel-good factor in their ranks. I do think they'll win.
Same. I want to win. I'm not just accepting defeat. Listen, the way we win this game is simple. Of course, there could be this. If we got a massive bounce from Carrick coming in, could win the game. But in that bounce, what has to happen is we need to be clinical. We need to defend well. And then we also need their attackers to have a bit of an off day. I feel all three of those things, we could be amazing. But if they're at their clinical best, we're probably still going to lose, if that makes sense, And I've seen boxers do this. I've seen boxers give absolute great accounts of themselves against world-class world champions, but still get caught on the chin in the ninth round and get knocked out. And, so for me, I'm not someone that, it's a hard one because sometimes I can sometimes take more from a loss where we played well than I can from a win where we played like crap. So I want to win the game irrespective. It's a derby, but I'd like us to have some areas where we go, okay, that looked better. I liked how we played. I like the way we moved the ball. I like the approach play. Because what you can look at in those circumstances is, well, against teams not as good as City and then Arsenal in the next game, you've got more of a chance if you replicate that. But look, winning the game, I think is key for us. We barely won a game, and we've drawn our last 3 Premier League games, knocked out the FA Cup. A win for, we haven't won, I think, since Boxing Day, so we're getting close to a month. We need a win, and this would be a great shot in the arm for just how we're feeling emotionally. So I hope we can do it. I'm not holding my breath, but I hope we do it.
Who have you got after Manchester City before we move on?
Arsenal.
Cool. I mean, you can't
away.
Really
Arsenal away.
And what have they won? Is it 13 or 14 home games this season or something like that? A crazy stat like that. They've won this season. They've only drawn against Man City. I think they've won every other home game.
Yeah. So again, the idea of going, the one thing is, I'm in this weird conundrum, right? Because if City beat us, of course I want to beat Arsenal. But then if we were to pull off a mad one and beat Arsenal at the at the Emirates, and then City win again, there's a 3-point gap, and I'm desperate for City not to win the Premier League. No true Man United fan wants that. So beating City would then make me more comfortable in terms of City's title charge in then taking points off Arsenal, because the gap would still be probably between 6 and 9 points. So it's one of those weird ones where I want to win the games for Man United. I want us to progress. Of course I do, because us getting in the Champions League is very important from a financial standpoint as well. So I would never go, let's lose to stop City winning the league. But I would like to go into that Arsenal game without this added pressure of, they could close a gap at the top, because that's also not a nice thing, because we know how the media is going to run with the legacy. But I hope we win our next 2 games, but I can't for the life of me see how we do it, if I'm honest with you.
So Man City have got, in the next 5 league games, they've got Liverpool, Spurs, and Manchester United. If they were to slip up, I mean, knowing Tottenham will end up doing a Spursy and end up beating them to benefit Arsenal, because that's just probably something we'd end up doing. I do want to move on to Arsenal. They've got a big game against Nottingham Forest, and they would already know their result of the Manchester derby before they play. They seem to be really starting to get into their groove, don't they, in terms of their recent results? FA Cup win, League Cup win in the semi-final away at Chelsea. I think they're 9 unbeaten now, with only one or 2 draws in there. They've got still 4 or 5 games to play this month. Both teams have actually got 4 games left this month. Champions League against Karat Almaty and Inter Milan, which they're already at the position where if they get a point or beat Karat Almaty, they're going to be in the top 2. Look, Forest can definitely cause Arsenal problems. We saw, Man City win there late at the City ground for Ryan Cherki's goal, and they did cause City some problems. But Arsenal are, of course, stronger defensively. Do you see? I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion that Arsenal win. Do you see Nottingham Forest causing Arsenal problems here?
They're a weird team, Forest, because they still have really good counter attack. I think what's happened in the Premier League this year is the lesser teams, so not your Man Cities, not your Liverpools, not your Arsenals, have paid them more respect this season and have sat a little deeper, not committed as much to the attack, and almost had gone in Forest have the ball. Where last year, everybody attacked them because they're a team everybody attacked. They absorbed it and they countered well. There's been a change of approach. But when it comes to City, Liverpool, Arsenal, they're going to pin them back, and I think they like that. So there's this element of, as weird as this may sound, I sometimes feel that teams like Forests have a better puncher's chance against an Arsenal, against a City, against the Liverpool than they might do against Aston Villa right now, who might be very comfortable with Forest having the ball for 40% of the game, 50% of the game. So Arsenal are the favourites. Arsenal have to find a way. But I feel that if Arsenal go into this game and they are not complacent, move the ball quickly, play with some pace to their game, I think they win 2-0 is what I would go with. But Forest, it doesn't matter how low they are in the league, there's a threat in them. They went to Anfield and won 3-0. They really should have got a result against Man City. Had it not been for a red card decision that the PGMOL have now said Diaz should have gone. And it was a late, brilliant strike. So they've demonstrated how hard it can be to beat them. So Arsenal need to go in this with full concentration, no complacency, and the right attitude. Because if there is it's a relegation team, we've got this, that's when they could slip up. And the good thing for Arsenal is they know the City result prior. So they know whether it's must win to keep it at 6 points or big opportunity to go maybe 9 points or 8 points. What would it be if they drew? It would go 7 points clear or 9 points clear. So I am predicting Arsenal to win, but I want to make sure I'm being very fair when I say I'm not writing Forest off completely, because I actually think they're a little bit better slightly than their league position suggests. They just haven't had Chris Wood putting the balls in the back of the net this year, but their overarching performances are quite similar. Alanga on the breakaways, they've had no one as good as him this year, but everything else they're doing is the same. So they do have the capabilities to hurt anybody, but I'm going to go with an Arsenal win.
It's just a very competitive league this year, isn't it? I mean, look at Newcastle. Have underperformed. We've underperformed. Forest haven't actually played since last Saturday, where they knocked out to Wrexham. And Arsenal, of course, play Portsmouth on the Sunday and a League Cup game. So they will be rested and recovered and ready to go again. Funny enough, actually, someone from my area, George Dobson, a Brentwood boy, got 2 assists against Forest in that game, which is pretty good to know. But I kind of just feel that if Arsenal, like you said, if they keep focused, remain focused, go out there and do their job, and you know they're going to be very strong from set pieces, and Forest are vulnerable. I don't necessarily know if it will be a Gabriel and Saliba partnership, purely the fact that Inter Milan game midweek and Gabriel started against Portsmouth and they both started against Chelsea. But even if it's not, Timber can slot in, and Ben White can go out right back, and I think I don't think Calafiori's fit. I think it might be Lewis Skelly left back if that happens. But they are still very, very strong right now. I think they'll win this. Like you said, 2-0, maybe 2-1, or I don't think they'll blow Forest away. And then what you just said there is bang on the money, because they'll know the result of the City game. If City do slip up for whatever reason, Carrick coaches a masterclass, you go out there and really dig deep and get something, and they extend that gap to potentially 9 points or 7 points. With the fact that they've got to play Liverpool and Spurs, if there's anywhere in the fixtures coming up that City could slip up, it is going to be now.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think that sport, it gets ignored a lot by fans, but the psychological element of sport is interesting. So if you think about City's title race situation right now, let's just move it into the context of a game of football. Sometimes you see teams playing quite well and then they concede a goal. They might actually be the dominant team and then they concede a goal against a run of play. But then you see a nervousness in what they're doing, because in their minds, either consciously or subconsciously, it's, if we make a mistake again and we're countered and they score a second, it's over. It's finished. This is exactly what happened to Man United against Brighton. We were the better team by and large. We had more of the ball in certain areas, in the right areas. We had big chances. I think we had more shots on goal, if I'm not mistaken. They might have had more possession than us, to be fair, but possession that we didn't mind. The problem is that they scored both their goals sort of came against the run of play in many ways. And when you look at the momentum within the games and everything else, the problem is that I got nervous every time they attacked, partly because we had no more room for error. And that's where City are in terms of the title race right now. That's where I am right. We had 50. I'm just checking again. We had 60% of the ball, and we had 8 shots on target to their 4. We created more XG. We had the bigger chances, everything. But once you've conceded one goal, you're then so vulnerable to the next one, and it makes you second guess yourself a little bit. So City, if they do drop points against United and Arsenal capitalize and make it 7 points, 8 points, 9 points ahead, whatever it may be, 8 points it would be if they drew. Sorry, it wouldn't be 7. So if they drew, they'd be. No, you're right. No, it would. They'd be 5 points behind. Then they go to 7. I'm stupid. My maths is wrong. So they go 7 points. Then they go into those Spurs games, those Liverpool games, and there is a different psychology in how they'll play, because there's no room for slip ups, and that impacts how you perform, how you posture, the risks that you take, the second guessing of yourself, because there's no room for error. Where Arsenal will go into games, and what you would think and what you would hope if you're an Arsenal fan is, well, we've got room to make mistakes. We've got an insurance policy, so you feel a little bit more relaxed. Imagine driving your car knowing that you have no insurance. So if you do have a little prang or a crash, you're not going to be able to afford to get it replaced or fixed. It'd make you a more nervous driver. Where when you've got insurance, not that you think it's okay to crash because I've got insurance, you're not driving around going, this car cost me 20 grand. If I crash this, I'm going to lose £20,000. Imagine you go out always thinking that when you're driving, you're going to have a crash. You're going to second guess yourself. And that's what getting a 6, 7, 8 point, 9 point gap does. It gives you an insurance policy. So as long as you don't become complacent, it helps you relax in games. It's why most teams don't throw away. Most teams that have those big leads typically win the league. There are the anomalies where teams have thrown it away, and it does happen, and it's great viewing and it's talking points. But you look through most top leagues in Europe in the last 30 years, if you get to January, February, and a team's got a 7, 8, 9 point lead, I would hazard a guess that 85 to 90% of those teams have gone on to win their league titles. So it's because it's easier to play. Normally you have less pressure. So yeah, a real interesting weekend ahead. I hope United win for our sake, but if it helps Arsenal stop City winning the league, I'm happy. City winning more league titles is a non-negotiable. It's a hard no from me.
For the Man City game.
Man City game, head says 2-1 City, heart says 2-0 United.
Interesting. I'm going to go 2-1 City. And for the Arsenal game, I'm going to go 1-0. What are you going to do for the Arsenal game?
Arsenal game, I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. I'm going to go 2-0 to Arsenal in that game.
Nice. Right, we are going to wrap up. Make sure you get down, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, get over to Terry Flewers TV and the Football Terrace. And we will see you all over the weekend for lots of content. We are out.